Meta is making significant shifts by ending fact-checking and lifting speech restrictions on Facebook and Instagram. Mark Zuckerberg announced that this decision aims to restore free expression, moving to a community notes system similar to that of X. While ensuring efforts against illegal activity still continue, Meta will stop enforcing certain content rules deemed outdated. Zuckerberg says the changes have been a long time coming.
Because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. I started building social media to give people a voice. I gave a speech at Georgetown 5 years ago about the importance of protecting free expression, and I still believe this today. But a lot has happened over the last several years. There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political. But there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, terrorism, child exploitation. These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly. So we built a lot of complex systems to moderate content. But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes. Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship.
Joining us now to discuss this further is Dr. Karen Sutherland from the University of the Sunshine Coast. A very earnest delivery there from Mr. Zuckerberg. Why is Meta ending fact-checking on Facebook and Instagram?
I'm not sure if it's any coincidence of a new administration coming into the White House, so it seems to be very much aligned with that, I assume. And I mean, honestly, has the fact-checking been really very accurate anyway?
Yeah, that's something that I've definitely seen a lot of people commenting on, going, where was it in the first place? How is it operating? But how does this new community note system resemble X approach, other than perhaps being a little bit chaotic from what I've seen on X?
Well, chaotic's a good word, but basically, I mean, it's people making notes on other people's posts, where people can make additions and things like that. So people can actually make a note and add in credible sources or question or things like that, the validity. So it's like a real crowdsourcing model. But in that, I mean, what a lot of experts are worried about is that it's just going to open the door for even more misinformation than we have seen, because there isn't anyone there really verifying, even though it wasn't great anyway, but there is now that it's just left up to the users of Facebook to provide credible information or to question. And so I'm not sure what is going to happen as a result.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting times. I guess we won't see the effects of this until a bit later, but what outdated content rules is Meta no longer enforcing specifically? Do we know any bits and pieces that they'll be moving around?
Look, I mean, I think it really had to do with sort of political content, and there'll be others as well, but they really mentioned that. And so when you are placing an ad on Meta, there are things that you have to disclose, whether it's a political ad, whether it's around sensitive communities, anything like that, before running ads, so it's not biased or promoting misinformation. So it seems that any sort of political content is going to be allowed, which is a worry, because if you think about what happened when Cambridge Analytica did the ads around the 2016 election, that's what really prompted those restrictions. And so if it's a sort of open slather, it's going to be very interesting and a bit worrying as to what the result's going to be.
Absolutely. And of course, beyond just the United States, I've seen Facebook and this sort of stuff cause trouble in all sorts of countries. But how will Meta address illegal activity under the new policy? Do we have any clarity on that?
Not really. I think they're still going to moderate those sorts of, because there's still some community standards they will uphold. However, yeah, I think when it comes to actually sort of free speech, I think it's still a very grey issue.
Yeah.
For just a personal anecdote, a couple of months ago, I had a post taken down because it breached community standards, and it was actually a post that I was amazed that in Adelaide, at Indian restaurants there, you can get naan with brie in it. It must have been like just too delicious to breach community standards. So even then, like, there are so many mistakes that happen, and people are actually restricted based on really weird decisions.
Yeah, and you do see a lot of that. I see a lot of people I follow across these things complaining about being banned or having strikes against them. But I understand that Meta Platforms has also appointed UFC President Dana White, a known ally of President-elect Donald Trump, to its board of directors. These chess pieces, they're moving around, and we've only just started 2025.
I know. And I think really it's because the new administration begins this month. So I don't see that as any coincidence whatsoever. But it seems that these two, Zuckerberg and Dana White, have been friends for many, many years, but maybe it wouldn't have been seen as appropriate to have him on the board. However, I think that doing so, I think Zuckerberg's really trying to make the most of the new administration and their sort of more openness in terms of free speech, but also build relationships, because clearly they're trying to make alliances so they can do what they want to do, really.
So I'm curious to know, in what ways could White's experience with UFC contribute to Meta's ventures when it comes to AI, wearables, this kind of thing? It seems like an interesting mashup, or friendship at least.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Dana White was appointed because of the friendship, but and the ties to the White House. But I think maybe because he actually really turned around his brand when he took it over and turned it into a powerhouse. And so I think maybe it's that experience that Zuckerberg is looking for. But I mean, how much extra reach can Zuckerberg want?
Yeah. Like you're everywhere in everybody's pockets all the time already.
I think the wearable tech and those sorts of things, I think now will definitely be a focus for Meta in the coming years. And they've started a while ago, but it's not really been greatly or widely adopted yet. So maybe that's the focus, making that technology more widely adopted.
Yeah, we'll no doubt be keeping a close eye on all of this. But Dr. Karen Sutherland, thank you for joining us on the program. Look forward to speaking again next time.